All right, welcome back to another episode of the Powers on Sports podcast. Appreciate you finding us. Hope you're doing your Christmas shopping. We got about 10 days or so till Christmas. We got a good episode for you today. We're going to talk some college football. We're going to talk some NFL. We got a big fight going on this weekend in Tampa with Jake Paul. For all you YouTubers out there, he's a YouTube sensation. He's getting back in the ring for a little rematch, and nobody better to talk about all these things than JP Peterson. JP's a longtime sports radio, TV guy all around the Southeast, around the country. I've known JP back in his days in Tallahassee, Florida, back in the day.
That was a long time ago, bro.
That's it. That's it. But JP hosts his own show, JP Peterson Show, Monday through Fridays, 10 to 12 on fanstreamsports.com. He's also the host of the Tampa Bay Lightning Hockey Night Live. He does a lot of pregame, postgame, between period stuff for the Lightning. Welcome to the podcast, JP.
Man, I should have more money with a resume like that. I don't know where the hell all the money went. It's all good, man. Thanks for the very, very nice intro. I can go now? That was great. That was fantastic.
I got to give JP lots of props. He's a little under the weather, so I appreciate him hanging in there with us and
yeah, absolutely
giving us a little time here under the weather. How's your Christmas shopping? Did you shopping done?
Oh my God, I haven't even started, bro. I did order two things from Amazon. I don't like to shop at Amazon. I like to shop in local places, but I couldn't find anything. I knew I couldn't find it locally, so I bit the bullet and bought Amazon. So, no. But my kids are older. You know, all they want is money anyway. So, you know,
gift cards.
They got everything they need.
Gift cards and money, man. That's right.
Exactly.
All right. So today's a big day in the college football. I want to start in the college football world. What a day for Deion Sanders at Jackson State.
Oh, my God.
Going back to sting his old school, Florida State, stealing the number one recruit, flip-flopping the guy in the lap at the 11th hour. Just your thoughts on the whole NIL and how this is going to play into college football recruiting and such.
Well, it's the wild, wild west now. And I think, it's something that I've been talking about for almost 25, 30 years, Jason, since when I first covered Florida State in their heyday. And I really started to understand what big time college football was all about, how it worked, how it frankly exploited the players. And it was a lot of big money, unfair situations for the players because they were the ones generating all the income while the coaches and the fat cat administrators were the one getting all the money. And it was, I think when you divorce yourself of the long held tradition of college football and providing an education, and you just look at it for what it is, it's professional football and without paying the labor. And this is why they can pay coaches 11, 12, $13 million. It's why they can pay strength coaches $1 million to tell people how to push weights. I mean, it's ridiculous. So to bring it full circle, what I've been talking about is, hey, NCAA, you better get your crap together and start changing this and start compensating the players so there's not some type of revolt before the legislatures or the courts do it for you. And once they do it for you, it's not going to look like you want it to look.
Right.
And so this is what we get. We get complete chaos. Now it's just every player is up to the highest bidder. So here comes Barstool Sports with a ton of cash from their Penn gaming application, gambling, and Deion Sanders, the most charismatic recruiter in the game. You put those two together and you can get anybody you want, including the number one player in the nation. And that's exactly what happened. And even as a Florida State fan, as much as I dislike it, I can't hate on them. They're playing by the rules.
Sure.
So Deion's just playing by the rules. Now, was there a little bit of targeting of this particular player because they knew they could get him? The kid idolized him. They knew they could come up with the money. Was there any thought to what he was doing to Florida State? Hell no, because Florida State had a chance to hire him a few years ago. Right. And whether it's retribution or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter, quite frankly. I mean, and I know Florida State fans are pissed and they're fired Mike Norvell. Mike Norvell had no chance. Mike Norvell could not match a $4 million or $3 million offer, which was made. Mike Norvell can't match the charisma of Deion Sanders. I mean, it's not. Guess what? He also said no to Nick Saban and Kirby Smart in Alabama and Georgia. So it wasn't just FSU that got told no. So that whole narrative I don't like. Mike Norvell did as good a job as he possibly could do. Now, what I don't like, from my sources are telling me this was presented to Travis back in October. And Travis continued to tell everybody he was going to Florida State, including all the kids in the class.
Right.
And that ain't cool. That ain't cool, because I also think that Deion and El Presidente at Barstool told him to keep it quiet, because they knew if it got out that people would try to talk him out of it. That's why they wanted to wait till the last minute for him to say it. I think that's a little bit duplicitous, to be honest with you. So I don't like that part of it, but there's so many moving parts to it. And the bottom line is, this is what we wrought. This is what we wrought by not doing the right thing. These greedy, let's call it what it is, old white administrators for the past 25, 30, 40 years have been getting rich off the backs of these players, mostly African-American. And this is how it's all coming home to roost. So I have a hard time faulting Deion or Barstool or anybody. It's their own damn fault.
And with the advent of gambling being legalized all over the country, these gambling entities are going to be more and more influential in these kids going places and not going places. I think I heard a stat today. Universities are paying like $100 million to coaches to not coach. All the different guys that have been fired, over $100 million of money is being spent on guys to not coach.
Yeah, and why can they do that? Because they don't pay the labor. They make stupid choices. They'll go out and give a guy $95 million guaranteed, or $30 million with an 85% buyout in Willie Taggart's case, with no guarantees of minimum performance or anything else.
Right.
I mean, you think Brian Kelly's going to be at LSU for 10 years?
Right.
Hell, freaking, he might not be there for 10 weeks.
Mel Tucker,
walk with $95 million. Yeah, but I mean, this is so financially irresponsible.
Right.
But these programs feel like they have to get into this bidding war, because if they don't, you know what you're going to be? You're going to be Miami for the last 25 years, hiring Manny Diaz and the rest of the joke coaches that they've had. You want a big time coach? You got to come out of pocket. And now you got to guarantee them all this money. The system is completely broken, and it's their own fault.
And you got ESPN and Fox willing to write the checks for the TV contract. That's what's fueling all this, is the revenue that they're getting from ESPN and Fox.
Yeah. But you know what's interesting, Jason, is, all this time, we're saying, well, you get a college education, that's worth it enough. We're spending a lot of money on these kids. We give them a lot of stuff. Interesting how much more money they want to spend now that they have to outbid the other team.
Right.
$3 million for Travis Hunter. Interesting how now, he deserves a lot more than just a college education. Interesting how that works,
I think I heard something today. Sarkisian at Texas was guaranteeing every offensive lineman he signed like $50,000. Guaranteed to sign with Texas.
Why not? And here's the other thing that's going on. So these NIL groups, like now Florida State just announced theirs, Rising Spear, right?
Yep.
Well, Florida State's about 6 months late to the party. It's one of the reasons they didn't have enough money to match some of these players. But they're catching up now. So, just specifically at Florida State, their leadership has been asleep at the wheel for a long time. Florida State almost hired this guy from University of Louisville, Vince Tyree, who's a complete, fraud. The guy's a fraud. He has no experience. He had no experience when he got the job at Louisville.
Right.
He got it because his buddy was on the board of regents and hired a search firm, allegedly, and told him to hire this guy. And I may think personal against Vince, but he didn't do anything special at Louisville. And then he's about to get the job at Florida State. And luckily, some people found out about it, went around the search firm, did their own due diligence, and said, whoa.
Right.
This guy is not what he portends to be. We need someone better. They pulled the offer. He didn't refuse it, by the way, according to my sources. So, but this is Florida. It just underpins how Florida State's leadership has been asleep at the wheel for a long time. Now, Mike Norvell brought in the 12th rated class. When you put in, I think I just got this from 247 Sports. I don't know if you have the numbers there, but let me see if I can find it here. Florida State had the 12th best class. The USF had the 45th best class and the best transfer class. Which was amazing. 44th. UCF was 44th. USF was 62. Miami 74. UF is 79 in their rankings. FAU 120, FIU 136. So FSU crushed it. They still crushed it. And if they had gotten Travis Hunter, it would have been better.
Top 10. They'd have been easily top 10.
I think it's going to be very interesting to follow Travis Hunter's career.
Yep.
And see how it turns out. I mean, he's not going to be playing in the 3:30 slot Saturday on CBS. He's not going to be playing, on the ABC slot at 8 o'clock prime time. He's not going to be playing on ESPN at 7:30 at night. He's not. He just, you'll see him on TV
once or twice a year.
Nobody's really going to care.
Once or twice a year, you'll see him.
So I asked this question: is this really best for the kid? Is it best for the kid? Is he going to become the best player he can be, playing against inferior competition, practicing against inferior competition?
That's the other part.
Inferior.
The facilities are going to be so below average at Jackson State compared to even Tallahassee, who's not the best of the best. I mean,
So is this really what's best for the kid? You get the money, and that's great. Good for you. You were going to get money from Florida State. You were going to get money from, I know Georgia offered him $250,000 a year. I know that. So it's not $3 million, but there's a lot of people that feel like, hey, if you're all about the money, we don't want you anyway. So
you're right.
I don't know. FSU could use him. There ain't no doubt about that.
It will be a great case study these next 5 years to see these kids that sign these big deals. What is their motivation? What is their production? A guy like Quinn Ewers that just went back to Texas, collected all that money at Ohio State, didn't play it down. Now he's going back to Texas, getting more money. Can the guy play football? Because if he can't play football, it ain't going to matter in a year or two.
No, it's not. And we're going to, and these people that are shelling out the money are going to find out if it was a good investment or a bad investment. Right. And I think they're going to find out. Most of them are going to be at bad investments.
All right, quick thought on the Florida and the Miami hire. You like Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal?
Start with Billy Napier. As a Florida State fan, I'm so happy that they didn't hire Lane Kiffin.
Right.
I mean, I think Lane Kiffin would have absolutely torched it here in Florida. I mean, he's a young Steve Spurrier, or he's Steve Spurrier when Steve Spurrier got to Florida.
Yeah.
He's cocky. He'll say what he wants to say, and he'll win. The guy knows how to win.
And recruit.
Recruit. But he's not married. So Florida, that's not good enough for them. They're a little bit, they're Florida now. They're a little bit high and mighty. That's good. All right. So good for you. And we find out that Mike Gundy from Oklahoma State sent his resume to Strickland in Florida. So evidently Mike Gundy wears the wrong kind of T-shirts. So Florida didn't want to hire him either.
Right.
So then instead of going with a guy that's proven he can win in big time conferences, those two guys, you go with a guy that's never proven it.
Right.
Okay.
We'll see.
Good luck with that. And look, he's behind the 8 ball in recruiting. I get it, but he's known as a great recruiter. He's won at Louisiana. I think he's a good hire, but the other two guys were better, in my opinion.
What about Cristobal? Mario
Cristobal. That's a home run. That's the best guy you could have possibly gotten. And here's a guy that's proven he can win at the big time level. I mean, not championship, but he's proven he can win. I mean, he bleeds Miami
and wants to be there. That's the key thing. He wants to be
there. And here's the key. They signed the best athletic director in the business, and Dan Radakovich. And people aren't talking about this.
Right.
Dan Radakovich is the best in the business. And if the SEC expands and they're going to take another team from Florida, it's not going to be Miami and FSU. It's going to be either or.
Right.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll take both. But conference expansion is coming. Super conferences are coming. You need a guy that is uniquely connected and knows the business. This is why Vince Tyree was not the hire for Florida State. Not connected, doesn't know the people that he needs to know. Nobody trusts him in terms of, making these deals that are going to happen in back rooms, because they're going to trust people that they've been working with for 30, 40 years.
Yep.
Again, nothing personal against Mr. Tyree. He just was not the man for the job. So I think Florida State got the right guy. Radakovich is the best. He's the best in the business. He's going to build. I would think he's going to build a stadium somewhere down there. For Miami. Can't really do it on campus. There's really no room, but they'll find a way. They'll find a way, because he knows that he has to create some type of atmosphere, and they're never going to do that at Hard Rock Stadium.
And more importantly, and more importantly, get the big money donors of the alumni back in the mix in the football program to write the checks that you got to have to build the facilities and to build the stadiums they need.
Yep. He's the man. So Miami's back. Miami's back in the game. They hired the best people. I think Florida right now, hard to imagine this after a couple of 10-win seasons. You thought Florida was taking off with Dan Mullen.
Yep.
What a disaster of a season for them. Completely just
off the rails.
Imploded. There's a story to be told there. I don't know what it is, but there's a story to be told there because that was weird.
That was weird. All right, let's go back to your Tallahassee days. You and I, you spent a lot of time in Tallahassee professionally and personally. I played there for Coach Bowden passes this year. Just talk about your relationship with Coach. I know you worked with him professionally and socially. You knew him. Talk about your feelings of Coach Bowden.
Well, my first real TV job was in Tallahassee. And, here I am, just a snot-faced, pimple-faced reporter, and I went to Florida State. So I'm already, I've already idolized Coach Bowden. And basically, I'm working at a local TV station, and he would literally grant me an interview, well, actually probably 2 interviews a week, one-on-one, and of course, after the game and everything else. And, his great secretary, Sue Hall, between the two of them, one was like my mom, the other one was like my dad. And I really see him as a father figure. And he taught me so much about life and how to handle things. The death of Pablo Lopez was something I covered, and how he handled that with such grace, and just all the trials and tribulations of constantly not being able to win the big one. I was there during the wide rights and the wide lefts, and I saw the anguish on this man really, really up close. And, he handled it like a Christian man.
Yep.
The one thing I always tell this story about Coach Bowden, because I think it speaks so highly of him. Every time I would sit down and interview him, if I had an intern with me or a camera person, if I didn't introduce them, he would say, "Hi, I'm Bobby Bowden." Like, he would introduce himself, and then he'd get mad at me for not introducing. So I didn't do that more than once, trust me. But Coach Bowden always made you feel like you were the most important man in the room. You know this.
Yeah.
He would always make me, I'm just a peon reporter. I mean, but he would call me by my name, ask me about my mom and daddy, and just like, and was genuinely interested. And it's just that humanity for a man that was larger than life for me. It just taught me so much about how to handle yourself with humility, how to treat people, and how to be a winner, and if you're authentic, it's one thing I learned from him, and it has served me well. When I meet coaches, I try to get a feel, are they authentic or are they just bullshitters,
Right.
And you can see right through them after a while. Urban Meyer, John Gruden, compared to Tony Dungy,
Right.
John Tortorella, another guy I covered, Bobby Bowden. The authentic people stick.
Nope.
They become legacy. The fakes, eventually you get found out.
And he was the kind of guy in the community everybody loved. And he loved him in the community because he won. But like you said, he was always the guy. If you saw him at the grocery store, he'd say hello to you. You saw him at the department store.
Lived in the same house. His name was in the phone book.
Right.
The night we actually broke the Foot Locker scandal story on my station, and I called up Wayne Hogan, was the PR guy at the time.
Yeah.
I said, Wayne, I found out about this. I heard Sports Illustrated is coming out with this story on Monday. He's like, yeah, it's happening. I said, man, I don't want to cover this, but that's my job. He's like,
right.
I understand. I said, is there any way we can get a comment from Coach Bowden? He said, let me call him. So Wayne called me back 5 minutes later, said, sure, go on over to the house. I went over there by myself with the camera. It was a Friday night, a high school football Friday night. Went over there, and Ann answered the door. She said, just set up right in there, hon. He'll be right out. Set up in his living room. He came in. Hey, boy. I said, hey, Coach, not what we want to talk about today, but you understand. He goes, I know, no problem. We got to face fire. Got to face fire. I mean, can you imagine? Imagine?
Yes.
I mean, that was as big a scandal as there was at that particular time.
Yep.
And he invited me to his house and sat me down in his living room and answered any question I had.
On a Friday night. On a Friday night.
Are you kidding me? I mean, just
yeah.
I mean,
and he would, and like you said, he would answer the piper when he screwed up. He would tell you. He'd give you a legitimate answer in an interview. He wouldn't. There you go. There we go. There we go.
What are you barking at, Tal? What are you barking at? Who's
That's funny.
Anytime there's a dog on TV, she's got to bark.
That's awesome. All right, let's do a little playoff preview.
The coach telling me to shut up about him.
That's right. That's right. Give me a quick couple thoughts. Cincinnati, Alabama coming up. Cincinnati have a shot to keep the game close.
You know, I for some weird reason, I think they do. You know, Alabama's. Here's my thinking on this. We think Alabama is so great because of what they did to Georgia, right? When you go back and look at who Georgia played, they didn't play one top 50 quarterback until they faced Bryant Young. One top 50 quarterback. I'm not saying Georgia's not good, but Georgia's offense is pretty pedestrian. I mean, Stetson Bennett.
Good, not great. Good, not great.
And I think Kirby outsmarted himself like he always does when he plays Saban. He just tries to do too much.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of skewed everybody thinking, oh my God, Alabama is really this great team. Well, when you look at their body of work for the entire season, you know, they shouldn't have beat Auburn. I mean, they got lucky as crap against the Bigsby doesn't run out of bounds. They don't win that game.
LSU.
They lost.
LSU.
They could have easily had 3 losses this year. And their offensive line is not that good. So I'm not saying that Cincinnati's going to win the game. I think they'll cover. I think they're definitely going to cover the, 14 and a half now?
Something like that.
I may be wrong, but I just don't think Alabama's as great as everybody thinks they are. But that being said, this is a playoff. Cincinnati's never played anything like this. They could completely crap the bed too. But I know I'm totally hedging here. But if I was bet the game, which I would never, too many variables, I would take the points in Cincinnati.
All right, the other game, kind of the slugfest kind of game in the trenches, Georgia, Michigan. You got the running attack of Harbaugh. He finally has climbed the mountain and gotten over the hump there at Michigan. You know, you got Georgia obviously reeling off the loss. I think this is the kind of game Georgia wants to play, is a trenches, offensive, defensive line, not have to worry about 5 wide receivers. Your thoughts, Georgia, Michigan? Yeah.
It's going to be a bloodbath, man. It's going to be a bloodbath. And I think Georgia's going to find a way to win this thing. I just think, Michigan's a power football team. And just like you said, I think it plays right into Georgia's hands. They're not going to try to trick them. They don't have any, as much as, the Alabama had, they could go 5 wide and Brian Young's a much better quarterback. So I think it's going to be a low scoring smash mouth football game, and I think either team can win. I think Georgia's more talented. Michigan's never been here. Georgia has, although they've never closed the deal. Right. But I think I'm going to pick Georgia in this one.
I'm with you. I think Georgia will find a way to get through for sure. All right, let's go to the NFL a little bit. NFC versus AFC. You got strength in the NFC. You got a very top-heavy NFC. You got a lot of depth in the AFC. What are just some general NFL thoughts about, obviously, the Buccaneers? We'll talk NFC here in a second, but the depth of the AFC. And you also have now COVID. That's going to be a major factor here these last 4 weeks heading into the playoffs. It's ravaging the league this week. Just your general thoughts about the NFL.
I predicted about a month and a half ago that the biggest factor in determining who makes the playoffs is going to be COVID for 2 reasons. The timing was coming about where the guys that got vaccinated 6 to 8 months, where the vaccine starts waning,
right?
You lose a lot of protection, and the vaccinated players have pretty much carte blanche to go anywhere and do whatever they want. So they're out there in public, and this new variant comes through, which is not going to make anybody sick. Omicron doesn't, unless you have a lot of comorbidities. Certainly not these healthy young players.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to get sick, but a lot of them are going to test positive, and that's what we're seeing. And I know that the NFL will never do this, but they need to revamp their policies. They just do. I mean, everybody is vaccinated for the most part. Anybody like, Bruce Arians, Tom Moore, these older guys, they're vaccinated. They're wearing masks. They're boosted. They're not going to get sick. They're not going to get hopefully they're not going to get sick. Nobody, if you're vaccinated, you have that protection. So, these players are just, to be taking 6, 8, 25 players out, and they're all going to sit around and not even have a sniffle. Not even have a sniffle. Right. And people say, well, they could spread it. Well, so can the vaccinated players. The vaccinated players, there's not many unvaccinated players, but it's just what are we doing here? They're not sick. We're not protecting anybody. They already have, the vaccine is protecting them. Just as an entire country, we just need to get back to living. We need to get back to living. Trust that the vaccine is going to keep you alive. If you haven't had COVID, if you don't have natural immunity, get the freaking vaccine. I'm not anti-vax, but making these people, we won't even get into all that. But what the NFL is doing has nothing to do with science. It was the original protocols were put into place to make sure they played games and they made their money. And now this whole idea when they decided after Thanksgiving, we're going to start testing the vaccinated players. As soon as I heard that, I said, that is going to be a freaking disaster. Right. It's going to be a disaster. Right. And here we are.
Yeah. Cleveland decimated. You got a bunch of teams that have lost 8, 10 guys in the last couple of days, and more are coming.
I think, and this will sound weird, but it's actual science. The guys here in Tampa Bay, living in Tampa Bay, living in Florida, we've been open for a long time, right? Most every one of them has had COVID and has natural immunity. Natural immunity will protect you from these variants, whereas the vaccines really don't. In terms of they'll keep you from getting sick, right? But they won't keep you from getting it or spreading it. That's the science. That's what the science tells us. It's not me saying this. This is doctors that are saying this and the data that I read because I study this stuff a lot. And so it's gonna play a part. It's gonna play a huge part in it. All the Buccaneers have probably had it. They have natural immunity, so I think that's why they're doing better.
All right, AFC.
There may be fake COVID cards too. I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. We're gonna get to that in 1 second. AFC, you got a lot of depth in the AFC. I think we can make an argument 1 of 5 or 6 teams could get out of the AFC. Kansas City's on.
I didn't answer that part of the question, but the Chiefs are starting to play well. They interest me. Their defense is starting to play well. Yep. It appears that Mahomes has gotten over his struggles. Yep. And is starting to pay a little bit more attention. Yeah, and the defense is playing well. But Mahomes is getting better. His fundamentals went to crap. So I think he's getting back to his fundamentals. The Chiefs are the only team that really interests me in the AFC. Everybody else is garbage. The NFC, you got the Packers. Yep. You got the Bucks. You got the Cardinals, and you got the Rams. Yeah. Dak is just not. I don't know what the hell's wrong with him, but I just don't think Dallas is the team. So to me, and I've been saying this for weeks, you got to get that number 1 seed. The Bucs have got to get the number 1 seed. I do think they're going to win out now that they beat Buffalo. Yeah, I think they're going to win out. Yep. And the Packers have the tiebreaker on them. So we need the Packers to lose one more game. So whoever hosts that NFC Championship game, whether it be the Packers, the Buccaneers, I think Cardinals, D-Hop is out now for the next few games. Yes. So I do think, and they've got some tough games left. Bucs have the easiest schedule. I think if the Bucs don't make, if everybody stays relatively healthy, they should be the number 1 seed. And if they're the number 1 seed, I like their chances.
What do the Bucs do with Antonio Brown?
They're not going to cut him. Bruce is just, he's playing it out, letting it all die down. Nor should they cut him. As far as we know, he we don't know the facts of this case. Did he want to get a fake card? Yes, he did. You know how many players in this league wants to get a fake card? Every single one of them. There's no player in this league. Well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the players in this league did not want to take this vaccine. They know what the deal is. And by the way, and I know people don't want to hear this, but 183 players as of last month, players and coaches around the world have collapsed during games. 108 of them have died. Many of them citing the vaccine. We had a player, you probably don't even know this. One of the best players in college basketball collapsed on the bench the other day, 8 days after taking the vaccine. And now, the media will report if a horse dies of a heart attack, but if a player falls out, they don't even want to talk about it, especially if it's, if there's been a vaccine. And it's an issue. These players, trust me, most of them, I can guarantee you this. If you put a gun to my head and said, did Tom Brady take the vaccine or get a fake card? I'll say fake card every single time. That guy doesn't eat tomatoes. You think he's going to put that in his body? Hell freaking no.
Right.
Hell no.
No,
or should he have to? But
it's an interesting dynamic.
They're not going to cut Mike Edwards. They're not going to, no matter what John Romano in the Times says about, the Bucs integrity and blah, 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 blah. All these people that are saying, oh, he could have killed Bruce Arians. He could have killed Tom Moore.
Yeah, please. I agree with that. That's.
They're vaccinated. They're not going to die.
Can I give Antonio Brown one bit of advice? Pay your freaking bills. Pay your bills.
I'm not saying what he did was right. That was stupid as hell.
But pay your bills.
Dumb.
Pay the chef.
Pay your bills.
Pay the moving guy.
Pay your freaking bills. Yes. And don't ask your personal chef for a COVID card. Like maybe talk to some other people that may be a little bit more, I don't know, used to handling medical situations like that. You got a lot of money.
Call your doctor.
People.
Call your doctor.
Yeah, your doctor. Hey, buddy. What is he asking people at the convenience stores? Hey, you got any fake COVID cards here? I mean, freaking stupid can you be?
Idiot. But he's a hell of a player when he plays. That's the sad part. He's a hell of a player.
That's why he ain't getting cut.
That's right. That's right. All right, you listen to JP Peterson of the JP Peterson Show, Powers on Sports Podcast. Got a couple more things. Big fight card in Tampa this week at Amalie Arena. Saturday night, Jake Paul. I know you're going to be there. You and I were at the press conference when he was supposed to fight Fury out of England, who bailed out.
Right.
Now he's back fighting Woodley. Just your thoughts on this whole boxing card and Jake Paul as a legitimate fighter.
Well, I'm kind of more interested in watching Frank Gore and Darrell Williams fight, to be honest with you. I know them better. We witnessed their careers. They're, legitimate big time athletes who are getting into boxing. I'm interested in that. But the Jake Paul thing is interesting. I mean, it just is. People are interested to see if he can fight. And this is it was a pretty entertaining fight last time, according to a lot of people. I've watched it. It's like, it's just, it's a spectacle. Right. I'm not going to sit here and talk about it like it's, some type of big time event.
It ain't Tyson Holyfield.
No, but it's fun. It's entertainment. Yep. It's entertainment, right? Yep. You're going to talk shit. They're going to go back and forth. They're going to jump in the ring and beat the hell out of each other. Who doesn't want to see that?
That's right.
You don't want to see that on a Saturday night, right?
And you're gonna have one of the better women fighters in the world, Amanda Serrano.
Yes,
she's fighting.
Looking forward to seeing her fight. Yeah, that woman is a badass.
She is.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing her fight. Yeah,
we saw her.
I have this fascination with watching women fight. Like, I don't know what the hell it is, but I'm just fascinated by it. I just call it sexist or whatever you want to call it, but when two women go at it like that, I'm just like, it's just different, man. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. And that woman would whoop my ass.
And she's put together too. We saw her in person.
Oh,
she is
right.
Put together.
New York she does girl. Not mess around. That's no social media. Like, doesn't have any social media. I don't even think she owns a phone.
Yes.
That woman's serious business.
And the great thing is they've sold a ton of tickets for the event. It's not like they've sold a bunch of tickets. It's going to be a big crowd, Showtime pay-per-view. It's going to be a big time audience.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be quite the spectacle. It's going to be fun.
All right, last thing, I'll get you out of here. I know you got a strong opinion on the Rays stadium issue. Tell the audience your thoughts on obviously you got all these rumors about, are the Rays going to build a stadium? Are they going to split time Tampa and Montreal? Your thoughts on the current stadium situation involving the Tampa Bay Rays?
Well, I've been saying this for a decade, that the stadium is going to be built in downtown Tampa. It's the most obvious place. If you look at the demographics, if you follow the money, there's no reason Major League Baseball wants to leave the 12th largest media market. And it's all in an exploding market where the population is moving south and the I-4 corridor. Within 10 years, it's going to be one big city from Orlando to Tampa. It almost already is. We're growing to the east, not the west, where Dolphins and groupers don't go to games. So you put the stadium where it's not surrounded by water, near the population center, you're going to get more people. And you build an iconic stadium instead of a dump like the Trop. People who, the fact that Romano Steve talking about this argument, well, they win and nobody shows up. It's just stupid. It's a bad fan base. It's such a 1975 argument. It's so stupid. There's nuance to it. You can't put a baseball stadium on the edge of a market. That's why Major League Baseball has a rule that if you don't have 1.6 million people within a 30-minute drive, it's not a viable stadium site. They never would have, they told them not to build that stadium there for that exact reason.
Right.
It doesn't work in baseball because the Monday through Thursday games, you got to have people going close by the city center. And that's what Tampa brings. That's why the Lightning have been successful. Of course, they have an owner that people actually like instead of despise. So, look, and this sister city plan is a joke.
That is a joke.
It's a joke. I know Stu wants to do it, and I know he's serious about it. But people say, well, people think it's a negotiating ploy. He's serious. I'm like, yeah, of course he's serious. He could, he thinks he's going to make a crap ton of money, have 2 TV contracts, and have 2 markets that he could build out of public money to build. And from his standpoint, yeah, why not? Let's give it a try. If it works, I'll be the smartest guy in the room. I'll be the richest guy. I'll be the guy that came up with the sister city idea. It's not going to work because baseball is about being emotionally invested in your team that you want to watch every night. If he abandons this market, you think people are going to be Rays fans? Yeah. Hell no.
Gone.
Hell no.
Gone.
They got the Lightning. They got the Bucks. They got the Rowdies. They got FSU. They got USF. They got Florida. They got
Yankees, Red Sox.
They don't give a rat. They won't give a rat's ass about the ratings will plummet. No one will care. This is why nobody's done this before. And since when did Montreal become this great baseball market? Right. And nobody up in Montreal wants to spend one freaking penny to build the damn stadium. Well, there's no momentum up there whatsoever. This momentum and its gaining support is nothing but a fabrication of the Tampa Bay Times and Stu Sternberg getting some of his cronies at the Chamber of Commerce to say, we support it. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's nobody. There's a Tampa Bay Business Journal out that 74% of the people don't want the sister city idea. And it's comical. It's a joke. And why any government official would negotiate from weakness because Stu Sternberg says we're not a big enough market. We're the 12th largest market. Right. We're going to be the 10th largest market in probably 5 years. There's going to be 2.4 million people within a 30-minute drive of downtown Tampa in about 5 to 7 years. Right. What owner wouldn't kill for that location? Yep. And if he doesn't want to be here, haul ass. We'll get another owner, and Major League Baseball will come back with another team. Right. This will be the biggest markets without it. So Major League Baseball doesn't want to leave this market. If I were Jane Castor, I'd say, listen, Stu, we're going to pay for half the stadium. If you want to stay here the whole time, good. If not, peace out.
That's right. No, that's right. I'm with you.
He's not going to return the $400 million he already got from the regional sports network as an upfront payment for his Tampa market TV deal. He's not going to do that. Trust me on that. That money's in the bank already.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. Great insight, JP. Tell everybody where they can find you online on the social media and your time of your show.
At FanStream JP. Our website is fanstreamsports.com. You can watch our show live on Twitter at FanStreamJP or at the JP Peterson Show each and every day, 10 to 12. We're also live on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube show every day. You'll get a notification when we're on, and you can watch it anytime. It's also a podcast. So if you download our app, we have a dedicated app. Just go to your app store, type in FanStream Sports, all one word, download the app, put it on your phone, and just tap that app. The show pops right up right from the beginning. You can listen to it anytime you want. We cover Tampa Bay sports.
He does.
Very rarely talk about stories. We give you a lot of original reporting on the stadium that you won't find in the Times. We did original reporting on the FSU athletic director job. Yep. We do a lot of original. I still have a lot of contacts in the sports industry, and we get a lot of stories you won't see anywhere else. So check us out. It's a good show.
How'd you get into sports? How'd you get into sports broadcasting? What was kind of your growing up? How'd you decide you want to do this for a living?
Oh my God. I played sports every day of my life. I played football, basketball, and baseball in high school. And, also grew up playing tennis and golf. I watched sports all the time. I never went home after school. I went to a practice of some type, and I watched sports all the time. I was just a sports fanatic, and I was going to be an attorney. I started working at the local TV station in Tallahassee, and I realized I've been training for this all my life. I know everything about every sport. Luckily, but God gave me a gift to incessantly talk about sports. And so I was pretty good on TV, and they said, well, you should probably do this for a living. So I did.
Good for you, man. Yeah. John's been all over the Southeast, great career. TV, radio. Now he's in the digital platform. He does great work. He's super dialed in at FSU and all the stuff around FSU athletics in the state of Florida. So appreciate it, JP. One more question. How did you decide to go from John to JP? Where did John to JP come from?
That was my agent. My agent was like, listen, bro, your name is so freaking boring. John Peterson. Nobody ever is going to remember that, man. Everybody calls you JP. Use that alliteration, JP Peterson. That's catchy. People will remember that. And I was like, so when I moved to Tampa, I made the decision for my on-air name to be JP Peterson. So,
there you go. Because I remember you.
Now you freaking outed me, and now people are going to freaking background check me. Come on, man. Coach Bowden was the only one that called me John.
Oh, God. I remember sitting in the dorms watching you on CTV and John Peterson. Come on.
Remember I had hair, bro. Remember that long hair I had?
Right.
The feather back hair.
That's it, man.
Oh, yeah, man.
Jeez.
I talk like this. Talk like this.
That's right. That's right. All right, JP, appreciate the time, man. Awesome work. Episode will be coming
Good
out.
luck on your podcast, man. Keep it going. You're great at what you do, man. Just keep it rolling.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
Out there, the love of the game, people will get it.
Have a great weekend, man. We'll be right back. I'll give you some NFL picks for the weekend. Stay tuned to the Powers on Sports podcasts.